The owner of the beef noodle shop knocked my door with her rolling pin when she realized that the payment was given 2 cents less when I was buying her beef noodles to take away. Stinky girl. I saw that you were a regular customer and didn't pay much attention to you, but you want to eat my noodles for nothing. Is it so? At such a young age? Hurry up and pay for the noodles, or I will smash your door to pieces. Although I was not happy, I still took out the payment record. I thought that she would apologize to me when she saw it, but it turned out she was more angry after she realized the payment shown was 2 cents less. Sure enough, 2 cents less, she snarled. Whatever, you have to make up for it today and kneel down to apologize and compensate me, right? Now I can't stand it at all. I thought it was not easy for her to bring up her child all alone. And I, being a food influencer, I even took videos to help promote her beef noodles shop. Even sometimes she might forgot to pack something or left out the beef slices. I didn't argue with her. But now it's time for my millions of followers to see Auntie's true colors. Now let's start the story. Yesterday, I stayed up until the wee hours in the morning after editing some videos. I slept until noon before I got up. As usual, I went downstairs to order beef noodles and planned to make that one meal into 2. As soon as the boss saw me coming, she smiled and said, "A bowl of beef noodles, less noodles, and more coriander, right?" See, I remember. I nodded and randomly found a place to sit down, but when the noodles were packed and placed in front of me, I found that not only was the noodles portion seem small, she also didn't add the sliced beef and coriander. I was just about to ask her about it when I suddenly received a call from a prospective client. He is keen on collaborating with me and wanted to come to my studio to discuss it. He informed me that he had already arrived at my studio's door. I hurried and left the beef noodle shop, but I saw that the owner was still busy. So I hurriedly took the noodles and scanned the payment QR code on the table. I told the owner that I had something urgent and had to rush off first. After that, I did a quick flash of the payment page on my mobile phone and showed it to her from a distance. I did not make sure she saw it or not and hurried off, turned around and went upstairs. Running, I seemed to hear her shouting behind. I guess she wanted to let me know that she did not add any beef into the noodles. To me, it's not a big deal. I wanted to eat less and lose weight anyway. But what I didn't expect was that when I was talking to my client and about to finalize the contract, there was a sudden loud knocking on the glass door of the studio, like someone was going to break the glass. I quickly glanced over and saw that it was Aunty, the owner of the noodle shop. She was holding a rolling pin in her hand, and she was saying something as her mouth was moving aggressively. But the sound insulation is so good from my studio that I can't hear clearly. So as not to affect my discussion with the client, I rushed to open the door and pulled her aside. I quickly brush her off, saying, "It doesn't matter. Forgetting the sliced beef and coriander is a trivial thing. Don't be bothered by it," I assumed. "I am still talking to my client," I told her. "You go about your business first. I'll talk to you later, all right?" After saying that, I was about to close the door and go back. But the owner pushed open my door angrily and sprayed me in the face with her saliva. "You stinky girl, thinking that you were a regular customer. I didn't pay much attention, but how dare you eat for nothing? You are so shameless at such a young age. Hurry up and give me the noodle money or I will smash your door." I was stunned and thought there was something wrong with my ears. Obviously, the client also heard the commotion here and looked at me with a look of apprehension. "Lily, as a food blogger, you actually are a dine and dasher? I cannot believe it. I may reconsider our collaboration, honestly." My client retorted. When I heard that the client might cancel the project with me, I was immediately taken aback. Auntie was so gleeful that she muttered, "Yeah, you shouldn't have cooperated with people like her. She usually likes to take advantage of people for small gains. Do you know that coriander is so expensive nowadays and she asked me to put more every time? Now I believe it's karma time. Pay me quickly." After saying that, the beef noodle auntie stretched out her hand with a black face, which was no different from the look of a debt collector. At this time, I felt very uncomfortable, and without letting my client imagine the worst of me, I took out the payment record on my mobile and showed it to her. "Look, I have paid," I replied calmly. "You do know that I'm a regular customer. How will I run without paying? The mobile phone payment page loads through and shows that 14.98 yuan has been paid. There is a discount of 2 yuan using my bank's app to pay. I originally thought that, at this point, the owner might feel sorry jumping to conclusions. But I was thinking that as long as the owner apologized to me, I would still come often to patronize her business. But I didn't expect that the owner's reaction would be this. She pointed at my nose and began to curse. Ah! It was indeed 2 cents less, you scheming pauper. You have to make up this 2 cents today and kneel down to apologize to me for all this hassle. Now I know that she came for this measly 2 cents. I used to remember that when I first moved my studio here, her noodle store was barely surviving, the customers were few, and the place was always quiet. I sympathized that it was not easy for her to open a stall with her child all alone, so I helped to publicize her stall by loading videos up onto my social media accounts of her beef noodles for free and attracting many friends and followers to eat. The auntie said that she was very grateful that as an act of gratitude, she made it a point to remember my order preference. I thought we had a connection, but I didn't expect that in her eyes. I am nothing but a cheapskate that always asks for more coriander. The matter has now escalated for the sake of 2 cents. I was furious with her and couldn't help it. I could not be cordial to her anymore. These 2 cents are automatically discounted when I paid by my bank's app, but you will still receive 15 yuan. If you don't believe it, you can check your payment collection record. I still have my client here at the moment, and if you want to cause a scene, I will not hesitate to call security. Auntie now glared at me and opened the payment collection record on her mobile phone. She didn't believe what I told her. Soon, her anger simmered down a little, but she was still unreasonable and quite thick. Wait, she shouted. You have a 2 cents discount because of the bank app, but that 2 cents is still rightfully mine, she argued. If you hadn't scanned the QR code on my stall table, would you even have the discount of 2 cents? Look at how nice your office studio is. You seem more than capable to pay the full price even without discount. This is when my client became speechless by the sheer shamelessness of the beef noodle auntie. My client standing beside me gave me a look of pity and whispered softly in my ears. Miss Lee, you are so unfortunate to meet with such a character. Could you just give her the 2 cents and get it over and done with? Although reluctant, Auntie has been making quite a scene here and our discussion cannot continue, so I can only grit my teeth and transfer 2 cents to her, flashing the payment record to her face. Now it's okay. Can you leave? But she obviously had no intention, so she just put her hands on her waist and spit on the ground with arrogance. What the... 2 cents? You think I am a beggar? I think you could purchase hundreds of bowls of beef noodles with the money after clinching a contract with your rich client. If you want to send me away, either kneel down and make amends or compensate me 1,000 times. What a 1,000 times. But even if it's only 20 yuan, isn't it a clear extortion? I just want to continue my meeting with my client, and the argument seems to be going nowhere. This time my client spoke up. Hey, look, just forget about it. Let me pay the 20 yuan. Is it all right? I cannot allow my client to come up with the money, so I decided to pay just to shut her up. At this time, I suddenly thought of the beef noodles on the table, so I deliberately baited her. This time, I admit I am wrong and I have to pay you 1,000 times. But if you made a mistake in the future, would you admit it? She obviously forgot that she didn't put the beef slices in. She waved the rolling pin and pointed it to my face. If I really made a mistake with your future orders, I would definitely compensate you 1,000 times the amount of money. At this point, I no longer hesitated to transfer the 20 yuan. After getting the money, her face softened. She nagged, I'm just trying to teach you a lesson to see if you dare to be a cheapskate in the future. Auntie left my office finally, and I resumed discussion with my client with the contract signed and collaboration established. I apologized for the commotion again and sent my client off. He was super understanding and kept saying it's all right and it is not your fault. You just met with a weird one today. After all the dust settled, anger rose in me. I think I have played a huge part in helping the Beef Noodles auntie's business pick up. I am a food blogger and influencer. My food reviews are always on point and objective, so I managed to garner quite a huge following. I've been constantly recommending it on my social media accounts like my YouTube, my KitKat, and my Instagram. My followers went to patronize her business because they trusted me. Otherwise, how could her business be as thriving as it is now? The more I thought about it, the angrier I became, so I opened the bowl and stirred it restlessly. The moment I took a close look, I was taken aback by the lackluster quality of the meal. Let's not mention there is no beef in the noodles, but even the soup looked very cloudy, as if other people's leftover soup had been added in with my noodles. Yucks. Feeling very annoyed, I picked up the beef noodles and prepared to reason with her. Right now, the store was brimming with customers, even though it was past the lunch crowd. When the owner saw me, the smile plastered on her face immediately became stoic. "Oh, what the matter? You want a second helping? Don't forget to pay me this time. And in the future, I am going to charge separately for the packaging and coriander," she barked. I gave her a blank look and placed the beef noodles on the table. "Pardon me, I think my eyesight is getting worse. Could you please help me see if there is any beef in my beef noodles?" "Did you not add it for me, or are you deliberately trying to take advantage of me?" I said loudly with a tone of sarcasm. This time it was her turn to fluster. She was afraid that it would affect the customers in the stall and tried to pull me aside. "What's wrong with you, girl? Are you trying to be difficult on purpose? Didn't I pack the noodles nicely for you? When you didn't pay me just now, I am already magnanimous to forgive you. Why are you still here? Please don't take the chance to smear my reputation on this street." I just grabbed the table tightly and was determined not to leave. I held the chopsticks and stirred. "Just to clarify, I didn't eat a bite. Can you see if there is any beef in it?" "Please look closely. The color of this soup is wrong, and there is only a little bit of noodles. Auntie, do you think you are fair to your paying customers with such a bad quality of noodles?" Hearing the commotion on our side, everyone looked towards us, one after another. The beef noodles auntie now felt that she had lost face and had no choice but to continue to be arrogant. "Ain't you young people all about dieting and losing weight? Look at you, fat like a round ball. I didn't give you any meat on purpose. Besides, you usually say that you want less noodles. You should be grateful to me." I was agitated. "I've never seen such a shameless one. You compromise on your serving and you still think you are right? Not to mention that I'm only 45 kilograms, and I dare say I am not even fat. Even if I am, what does that have to do with you? I'll pay for my meal, and it should be a standard portion and quality. I don't care. Anyway, if you are not giving me the fair portion that I deserved, I am not leaving." At this point of time, Auntie is afraid that the commotion had already created quite a scene, worried that it might affect her business further. She dug deep into her pocket and pulled out 8 yuan and slapped it on the table. Here. I am so unlucky." "Excuse me, Auntie, I think you might have been mistaken. It is not 8 yuan. It is supposed to be 8,000 yuan. "What? 8,000 yuan? This is extortion," she screamed. I took out my phone calmly and played our conversation earlier at my office studio. The one where she stated that she will compensate me 1,000 times if she ever missed or made a mistake in her order. I replayed it loud and clear for everyone to hear. This time Auntie's face darkened. "You cunning wretch. I have only taken 20 yuan from you, and you dare to ask me for 8,000 yuan? Well, I got evidence. And if you are not willing to honor your words, I am going to have to call the police and let them be the judge." Now the diners in the stall are no longer interested in eating anymore. Instead, they all inch closer to see how the owner will react. Auntie bent her waist, cower herself, and changed into pity mode. "Oh, my Shaoli," she grasped my hand suddenly. "Let me sincerely apologize to you now. Look at my small store. I do not make much money a day. I tell you what, I will compensate you with 800 yuan now, and the rest will be on credit, and you can come over for noodles any time at your whim and fancy. Please be magnanimous and forgive Auntie. I promise there won't be a second time." Seeing her change in attitude, and I don't really want to be mean, I put on my moral brakes and thought she should have already learnt her lesson. It's no big deal. At the most, I won't patronize her again. I agreed and compromised. Now, Auntie's son, Xiaoliang, is what we typically call a little rascal. He dropped by my studio and started to create a ruckus. I heard from my mum that you had a client over. Where are the food samples? Did you hide them? You are really stingy. Anger rose in me again. In the past, when I saw that he was a loner child who stayed in the noodle restaurant all day long and seemed quite pitiful, I took good care of him. I usually receive offers to collaborate, and clients or snack business owners will offer me some samples to try in hope that I would like it and push their food products or restaurant to yield more customers. I will always make it a point to keep some for him to try. But it seems like the way he behaves is the exact replica of his mum, so ungrateful and entitled. My face sunken and decided to teach him a lesson. I barked at him, unable to contain my annoyance. Even if I have samples, you should be polite to ask from me. I don't owe you. If you continue to be like this, don't come to me in the future. Xiaoliang heard what I said, picked up the rolling pin he brought along and started smashing the things in my studio. Bad woman. Ugly woman. My mother is right. You are a mean and petty woman. You know it is because of our Beef Noodles store that you are now such a popular food influencer. You owe it to us. So give me the samples that I rightfully deserved, he barked. I'm really exasperated with his behavior by now. It's so funny that you think I depended on your shop to make money. Hurry up and leave. You are not welcome here anymore. Xiaoliang saw that I didn't give in to him and took the chance to pull his tongue at me. Don't think that I don't know that you build up your followers based on our famous noodles. Honestly, your lousy followers come to our house to eat noodles just because they feel like they can take advantage of us. If you do not give me the snack samples, don't blame me for being nasty. I will tell my mum to ban your followers from our noodle shop forever. Well, I think this works in my favor, I pondered. Is it time now for thousands of followers to see Auntie's real character? Seeing that I was silent, Xiaoliang thought I was intimidated by him and got even more arrogant. How about it? I know you're scared. I'll tell you that there's still time to change your mind. Hurry up and start packing the snack samples and add 100 yuan for me. I want to go to the game arcade. Quick, he yelled. I curled my lips. These mother and son duo both behave in the same kind of loathsome way. Oh, don't you worry. Do let your mum know. I will no longer want to benefit from your mum's beef noodles popularity anymore. Xiaoliang saw that I was being indifferent. He grimaced angrily and raised his hand to hit me. This time, I did not allow him any chance. I snatched the rolling pin from his hand and started hitting his buttocks a few times. Well, if your mother is not going to discipline you, I am sure the general public will. I will be the first one. Xiaoliang cried out in an exaggerated way. He ran around my studio crying for mercy. I swatted on him lightly twice before I kicked him out of the door. I don't want to be accused of child abuse later on. Sure enough, it didn't take long for Auntie to come to me with Xiaoliang. He cried dramatically and snotted while pointing at me and scolding me fiercely. This evil woman hit me and didn't give me anything to eat. Hit her back for me. Auntie could not help but feel distressed over the fact that his son had suffered some physical pain. She rolled up her sleeve and started to retaliate back. I causally pointed at the things that were smashed by Xiaoliang. Oh, Auntie, glad that you are here. I was just going to let it pass, but since you are here. Thinking that the child was misbehaving and I would help you discipline him. So why don't we start calculating the losses I have incurred from his smashing? Auntie's smugness was quickly extinguished by my words. After all, if she continues to reason, she will have to compensate me. She touched his nose awkwardly and started to reason her way through again. Xiaoli, not that I want to criticize you. Why are you arguing with a child? He is still young and does not know the ways of the world. I can see that the snack samples in your studio are piled up like a hill, and since you can't finish them, my Xiaoliang is kind enough to help you. Besides, the video you made for my noodle shop last time went viral, and you must have gained a lot of followers. I never asked you for anything in return, but now Xiaoliang just broke something and you want me to pay for it? She mentioned this as if she had done me a great favor. After all, I gave her a small, unknown noodle shop free promotion, but now Auntie took it that I am benefiting off her? I was so furious that I glared at them. They were really shameless. I retorted back sarcastically, "Auntie, I feel ashamed now that if you mentioned it, thinking about it carefully, it makes sense. I haven't given you any benefit in return, so how can I have the cheek to exploit the popularity of your shop to help me increase my followers? Tell you what I'm going to do. I will delete the video immediately to avoid some people thinking that I was banking on your store's popularity." After saying that, I immediately took out my phone and deleted the video on the spot without hesitation. Auntie stretched out her hand to stop, but it was too late. "Why are you so serious, kid? How many people see that video every day? How much money will I lose if you delete it now?" she said with a painful expression on her face. I sneered. It turns out that she knows everything in her heart, but she is just taking advantage of it. And I won't want to go to your noodle shop in the future. After all, I am a food blogger. I would be ashamed if I unintentionally took advantage of your fame. Oh, I will also post a video too tonight to distance myself from your family. Is that okay, Auntie? Her face turned dark. She managed to squeeze out an awkward smile. There is no need to be so hasty. It's just a little misunderstanding. I didn't ask you to delete it. But before she finished speaking, Xiao Liang stopped her and stuck out his tongue at me provocatively. "Bad woman. You'd better not get involved with our family. Mom, let's not worry about it. Our beef noodle shop is so popular. Why should we be afraid of having no business? There will be a time when she will return and beg us in the future." Auntie thought it made sense when Xiao Liang said that, so she resumed her smugness again. The mother and son walked and talked to themselves. "Our noodles are so delicious. I don't believe that no one will eat it without her helping us to promote it." I shrugged my thoughts to myself, wondering who will do the begging. That night, I posted a quick reel to inform my followers that I had nothing to do with Auntie Beef Noodle House anymore. There is no need to support it for the sake of me. I thought that it would be enough to clarify it and never have anything to do with them from now on. Unexpectedly, this video went viral again. A lot of followers and friends flooded my comments and DMs to complain. Oh my God, my favorite food influencer finally stopped recommending Auntie Beef Noodle House. I've had enough. I've long wanted to complain about this owner. She's so arrogant. She also treats people differently according to her whim and fancy. The noodles are all lumpy when they're served. Last time, she was told that I was a follower of Lee and didn't even add beef to my food. The owner was also unhygienic. I saw her pick her nose and then use it to pick up the noodles. Gross. These are all the comments being left from after the viral video. Now then I know that there is actually differential treatment when it comes to my followers and her customers. For my followers, she will always give a little less noodles or less beef. Her attitude towards them is always the worst. After reading all these comments, I was fuming. My followers were always kind enough not to complain about Auntie because they trust my recommendation. Sometimes, although I feel that the portion is too small and the taste is not right, I sympathize that Auntie is not easy, so I always kept silent. However, I realize that my accommodation towards her only leads to more entitlement and arrogance. In order to make up for my followers, I launched a call in the comment section to let everyone avoid Auntie Beef Noodle Shop from now on. For those who had eaten noodles at their house before, I subsidized the noodles from my own pocket and compensated those who felt that their money was not worth the price. Because of the honest and ethical way that this matter was handled, a new wave of followers grew, and Auntie Beef Noodle Shop completely collapsed because of this matter. There is usually a long queue when we come here, but now there are not many at mealtime. Now Auntie and her son were dumbfounded looking at the empty noodle shop. The next afternoon, she brought Xiao Liang to my studio, put the plastic container containing the beef noodles on the table with a flattering look on her face, and even lifted the lid. "Li, why didn't you go downstairs to eat today? You have worked too hard and must be hungry. Auntie left a portion for you specially and came to deliver it to you. Come and eat it. The beef and coriander have been doubled to make it more delicious. I can tell she didn't come here just to be nice." but I was so busy that I didn't even look at the noodles or at her. There's no need to, I replied calmly. I'm so afraid of getting fat. Why should I eat noodles? I should lose some weight. Besides, Xiaoliang said that I won't be allowed to eat your noodles, remember? Auntie's face twisted. She was a little offended by me being so weird, but she still suppressed her anger and forced a smile. She replied in a feigned surprise tone, What? Are you fat? I think it's my bad eyesight, but you do have a good figure. My Xiaoliang, he is young and ignorant, and he talks nonsense. Hurry and apologize to your sister Li now, and she will forgive you. After that, she put her hand on Xiaoliang's head and pressed down forcefully. I stopped what I was doing and looked at Xiaoliang with an anticipatory look on my face. I couldn't believe that this rascal would be willing to lower his head and admit his mistake. Sure enough, Xiaoliang turned his head with an unconvinced look on his face. She is a bad woman who ruined our noodle shop business. I will not apologize to her. Mom, why are you trying to be nice to her? You should beat her up and smash her office to pieces instead. As he said that, he also made a gesture of pumping his fist. Now I didn't bother to continue acting with them and waved them off. Auntie, if you have something to say, just say it. I am very busy and have no time to chat with you. Seeing my cold attitude and blunt words, Auntie quit her acting and stated the purpose of her coming. Xiaoli, I saw the video you posted yesterday. We are all neighbors after all. It's not good for you to start a smear campaign on our noodle shop. Because of this, our business has been ruined. Tell you what, can you delete the video and clarify it for me? Then I will allow you to continue patronizing our shop. I will treat you as ignorant and forgive you this time. After saying this, she also acted like she was very magnanimous. I rolled my eyes at her and laughed out loud. Excuse me, Auntie, you don't have to force yourself to forgive me. After all, my videos are just stating the facts. Or are you saying that you have a guilty conscience and simply dare not let others know the truth? In short, I will not delete the video, and you, both mother and son, are not welcome here. Please do not ever step in here again in the future. I feigned a smiling face the whole time and kept my most polite tone. This made Auntie even more furious, and her hands actually began to tremble. She pointed at my nose and cursed me like a bitch. You are shameless. I'm trying to talk to you nicely, but you won't listen. Good. Don't regret it. Just wait and see. If you dare to ruin my business, I will make it impossible for you to survive on this street. After those threats were exchanged, she took away the packet of beef noodles she had placed on my table, afraid that I might actually eat it. My eyes rolled, ignored both of them, and continued to concentrate on my shooting work, thinking that maybe she might cause some disturbance for me to get revenge, like pouring red paint at my door, throwing some smelly overnight food waste or something. I was shocked that Auntie is much more vicious than I thought. She actually camps at the downstairs of my office studio to spy on me every day. Whenever I go to another food stall or restaurant for my meals, she will take Xiaoliang tailing me to find out whether there is something wrong with the food the other stalls and restaurants serve. If not, both of them will just create a scene shouting, "There is a bug or a hair in my food," which makes other people's business very difficult to operate. Some store owners were really angry and wanted to call the police, but the police said that this belongs to a civil dispute and asked them to mediate among themselves instead. Xiaoliang is also a young rascal that breaks the bowls or kicks the benches. If anyone asks him to pay for it, Auntie will shamelessly say that he is still a child and is young and ignorant. Why do grown-up people like you want to be petty and calculative with a child? The service industry is designed to serve people. Just fold your business if you cannot take it. For this period of time, the surrounding shops were so tormented by Auntie that they were scared when I patronized their shop. Thinking of the smug expressions on both the mother and son's faces, I couldn't help but be infuriated. As the saying goes, you must defeat evil with evil. So I made a careful choice today and chose a restaurant opened by a Northeastern lady. Northeastern ladies are always well known for their huge frames and energy. This particular Northeastern proprietress is 1.8 meters tall, and she doesn't look easy to mess with, but she is very kind and food portions are also very generous, coming with a full bowl. Before eating, I told her tactfully that I had been in some trouble recently and someone might come to create some problem later. This northeastern lady, Dajie, patted her chest and reassured me, "Don't worry, just enjoy your meal here." As expected, Auntie and her son followed me in and wanted to find some problem again. Now Xiaoliang purposely strolled in and started smashing more than a dozen bowls, but he couldn't break them because they were all made of stainless steel. He was so angry that he wanted to hit a bench with a rolling pin, but Dajie grabbed him by the collar. Auntie stopped Xiaoliang in front of her and said confidently, "My child is still young. Why do you want to hit a child?" But Dajie looked at her plainly and said that she is not tolerating any of his actions today. "I see that your child's hands are twitching and there is something wrong with him. Or is he always so mischievous? If you, the mother, can't discipline him, I'll help you to." After saying that, Dajie almost twisted Xiaoliang's hand with all her strength. Seeing Xiaoliang wailing in pain, Auntie screamed out loud, "Stop!" She pointed at Dajie and started calling her a bitch. "Let go of my son. If my son has any injuries, just wait." Dajie softened her grip and Xiaoliang took the chance to run off. She smiled boldly and shouted, "Wow, your mouth is full of stench. I think there's something wrong with you. Let me cleanse it for you." After saying that, she directly stuffed a bunch of green onions into the auntie's mouth. "For you to cleanse your mouth and palate. Eat it. Eat it. This stuff is delicious and it's free." Auntie's eyes widened and she was livid but didn't dare to do anything else, afraid that she would be further retaliated by Dajie. Seeing this scene, I couldn't help but give Dajie a thumbs up. It's true that northeastern people are warm-hearted. "Auntie, why don't you thank Dajie quickly? Look at how nice and generous she is to you." Aunt glared at me deadly, but there was nothing she could do as she knew she wouldn't be able to win Dajie physically. She could only take Xiaoliang and run away. After that day, she stopped for a while and continued to guard her deserted noodle shop. Every time Xiaoliang sees me coming downstairs, he would always have something nasty to say to me, but I will pretend that I can't hear him every time. I will also deliberately pass by their noodle shop to order takeaway from Dajie's restaurant, situated a few stalls away from theirs. I will make it a point to be very obvious by lugging my camera equipment and tripod to help Dajie shoot some content to help promote her restaurant. It didn't take long for Dajie's reputation for delicious food and generous portions to spread. Every day, a large number of people rushed to queue up directly at the door of Dajie's restaurant, the queue snaking almost to the entrance of Auntie's noodles shop. When Auntie saw it, she felt extremely resentful and she even started beating Xiaoliang. "You stupid kid, if you hadn't been talking nonsense, why would no one in our noodle shop eat?" Not to be outdone, Xiaoliang ran back and said, "Hump, isn't this stupid child not born by you? And I'm not lying. Why didn't you beat yourself up when you were the one who had to be so calculative about 2 cents? Auntie was at a loss for words. I was amused by their antics, but I have to say that there are characteristic differences between humans. Unlike Auntie, who is arrogant and entitled, Dajie is very grateful to me for helping her to promote her shop. Due to the gaining popularity and gratitude for the new wave of customers, she not only pays more attention to her own quality of her food, but also insists on giving me a permanent VIP card. The VIP card allows me to eat for free for life, but of course I could not accept it. It was too much a generous offer. After all, I feel that this is a win-win situation. Viewers and followers who saw my content for Dajie's restaurant started going there, all raving about the delicious food, generous portions, and the affordability of it. Everything is heading in a good direction, but I didn't expect that I still underestimated the viciousness of Auntie. I had no idea how she managed to shoot footage of Dajie pushing the card into my hands. She actually uploaded a video late at night to smear me, saying that I had received the benefits of Dajie and joined forces to slander her noodle shop. She further added that I was trying to blackmail her, and I beat her up when I didn't get any perks out of her. In the video, both mother and son were dressed in rags and crying with snot, with tears all over their cheeks. Everybody, I seek your help in this. I beg for some justice. Do you all think it's easy for me as a widow to take care of my child and run a stall? Can you bully people casually if you have an influential online following? She said that my noodle shop has been operating for so long, but because Lily didn't get the financial kickback she wanted, she deliberately slandered me. If she had the ability, she would provide concrete evidence for all the false things she said about my noodle shop. Look, everyone, here is a payment record of me transferring $800 to her. She put her mobile phone close to the camera. Lee must have deemed it to be too little, and I really wonder how much did the Northeastern Dudgie pay her? How can ordinary folks like me compete with a food influencer with more than 1 million followers? Aunty paints a very good picture of an oppressive bully forcing a poor widow and her son out of business just because she did not get any financial gain out of it. I have to wonder if she received guidance from professionals, but in any case, her vile motive was indeed achieved. After all, it is always juicy and scandalous when netizens hear about internet celebrities collecting dirty money. These kinds of injustice spurs netizens to join in to fight. This video quickly went viral. Countless righteous netizens came to accuse me of bullying others. They also went to Dodgie's restaurant to make a fuss, saying that she must have thrown thousands of dollars to promote, if not how her business would be so good. She must definitely be in cahoots with Lee. Overnight, my reputation was asperse, and all the collaboration and contracts I had planned to do came to naught. In fact, my many followers actually don't want to believe that I am capable of this. But it's human instinct to always pity the weaker counterparts more, especially this kind of orphan and widow character, relying on misfortune to fall onto them to create some stir in society. Now, Auntie's noodle shop became popular again, but she still didn't cherish her comeback. From time to time, I still come across bad reviews about her shop, saying that their soup tastes like it's bad with an awful sour taste and the portion is too small. But most still sympathized with her and continued to patronize her shop. Auntie was so cocky that she even deliberately ridiculed me in front of others. Didn't I warn you earlier not to offend me? But you still didn't listen and dared to do this to me. Serve you right. I think you can't keep this studio open anymore, so just pack up and leave, Auntie asserted. I laughed so hard that I couldn't help it. She really thought it was so easy to ruffle my feathers. In fact, all along I was planning my big move. Now what I plan to do this time is to do it once and for all to never have anything to do with Auntie again. She thought there was no concrete evidence for what I originally exposed, but she had clearly forgotten that I am a food influencer who records my life every day. The portions of Auntie's noodles are getting lesser and lesser. The taste and the quality of the soup is awful, and the quality is getting from bad to worse. I spliced together all the videos I took in those days, as well as the ins and outs of the 800 yuan and the recording of Auntie coming to my office creating a ruckus, plus some materials and evidence provided by followers. At the same time, I reported to the National Environment Management Bureau that the noodle shop did not meet the proper hygiene standards. The next day, the relevant authorities went to Auntie's noodle shop to investigate. Sure enough, it was discovered that there were potential safety hazards in her shop, and the hygiene conditions were even worse. Auntie couldn't bear to pour away the previous day's broth she had added together with the new batch she churned out. She didn't waste the beef noodles that the customers couldn't finish, and just combined several bowls together, heated them up, and served them to the new customers. Countless netizens were angry after seeing all this, especially those who had kindly supported her. I almost feel sick when I see the news. Auntie and her way of doing business in her noodle shop was not only criticized by the evening news, but also received a fine from the Health Supervision Bureau. Within a week, her noodle shop was forced to close. Viewers who saw the news footage rushed to her shop and smashed rotten eggs and rotten food waste on her shutters. They didn't even dare to leave their apartment, but they just shrugged it off and uploaded yet another apology video, continuing to cry miserably in the video. But this time, no one was buying it. After my explanation, my big brand collaborators also understood the cause and effect of the matter and regained our cooperation. I was ecstatic. The Northeastern Dudgie was even more chill and easy toward these happenings. During the few days when the smear campaign was targeted at her, she simply just closed shop and took a vacation for herself. Now that the rumors have been clarified, she is back and continues operation of her restaurant. She is swarmed with endless streams of customers every day. Sometimes she complains to me that she is too tired from working and wants to take a 2-day rest. I jokingly said no. After all, I didn't even eat enough during the few days she was not around. Just like that, everything started to go back to normal again. I originally thought that Auntie would wise up this time, or she would reflect on herself and find a chance to start over. Either give up entirely and cease operation on her noodles shop, or go work in a factory instead. Anyway, I hope our paths will not cross again. Unexpectedly, she is still persistent and continues to pester me. After the noodle shop closed down, she took Xiao Liang to my studio every day and cried. She complained that I was responsible for ruining her child's life. She yelled everywhere with a loud voice, "My Xiao Liang was still so young and now his future is gone. You have to raise him. Didn't you say you were a dink, dual income, no kids before? Didn't you say you don't want a baby? Just let Xiao Liang be your godson then. After that, he will give you a 180 yuan a month for your retirement, and all your property will be inherited by him." Such shameless words come out from her. But it turned out that this was quite a good idea for another plan I wanted to hatch. But even if I were to live alone for the rest of my life, I would gladly donate all my money to charity and not leave him any cent. They continued their shameless act. They even took a flimsy mattress and stayed in the corridor of my place. Both mother and son camped themselves at the door of my house. Whenever she sees me going out to eat or picking up my delivery, she stares at me like a thief, sternly warning me that I should not do so much online shopping, instead save some money and leave it to her son in the future. I've called the property management to chase them away, but every time they are driven away, they will sneak back in again. It has had a serious impact on my work over time. My neighbors also asked me to find a solution quickly. The more attention it got, the cockier Auntie became. She is just waiting for me to compromise. Soon, I agreed to her terms. "Didn't you say you wanted Xiao Liang to be my son? No problem, but I have a condition. You cannot be in his life anymore." I state matter-of-factly. Auntie's eyes light up with glee. "I will readily agree to any condition, as long as you recognize him as your son and let him inherit your money." I folded my arms and said the condition lazily. "I can only accept Xiao Liang, so you have to get out. After all, my son will inherit my property in the future, and I will not accept a child having 2 mothers. Xiao Liang was delighted, as he had already had enough of sleeping on the corridor for so long. He happily broke away from the hand of Auntie and called me Mom. Auntie's face darkened instantly. But thinking that all my property and money would belong to Xiao Liang in the future, she took a chance and agreed. From then on, I strictly prohibited the mother and son from seeing each other. Xiao Liang was a mischievous and twitchy kid by nature. He would eat and play with anything he saw. Not only did I not stop him, but I also met all his demands. As the saying goes, spoiling a child is like killing a child. I just wanted to spoil him so senselessly that he would forget everything his mom had taught him. He had such a good life with me that he completely forgot about Auntie. In less than a month, he completely changed. He clamored that he would always be my child, and also lamented to completely sever ties with Auntie because he couldn't bear growing up in poverty. Now Auntie finally panicked. She originally wanted to take the chance to fleece me, but I ended up having the upper hand instead. Xiao Liang was her life, and of course she was unwilling to cut off the relationship. Now she came to me again, accusing me of instigating the relationship between mother and son and begging me to return her son back to her. Obviously, I couldn't agree to it, and I deliberately asked Xiao Liang to make his own choice. Xiao Liang was so focused on playing the game console without even looking up, he said, "I wouldn't want to go back with you because you are poor. I don't like that you can't bear to spend money on me. This GS5 game console already costs 2,000 yuan. Can you afford it? Get out of here and don't disturb me living my good life." Auntie was humiliated and disappointed that she burst into tears. She pointed at me and asked me to wait and see. A few days later, I was served a notice to appear in court. In the end, of course, it goes without saying that I, as an adoptive mother, was definitely not as good as a biological mother. Xiaoliang's custody rights were returned to her. But this is exactly my purpose. Now that C wants to take the child back, she has to compensate for all my expenditure for Xiaoliang during this period. In the end, Auntie even had to sell her home and even her land in her hometown to make up for the money I have spent on Xiaoliang. After this incident, she was afraid that I would continue to appeal to fight for his custody that she Xiaoliang away by train overnight. Last I heard that they went to live in a faraway city. Later, Xiaoliang got my contact information from somewhere and cried, saying that he wanted to come back and live with me. I added fuel to the fire, saying that I missed him too, but it's a pity that his mother wouldn't let me see him, causing Xiaoliang to resent Auntie even more, thinking that she had ruined his good life. I have never heard anything about them after that. I guess Auntie must be eager to stay as far away from me as possible. And my life finally became peaceful again. I even became good friends with Daji. Many food stalls owners are envious of her good business and go to her early in the morning to ask for her secret to success. Daji only shared with them 4 words: be down to earth. As long as you take your quality seriously and be a down-to-earth person, one day you will have your own opportunities. Okay, that's the end of today's story. Thank you everyone for listening.